Alright, so we're checking out the BETAFPV Pavo25 in this video. So this is, 2.5-inch Cinewhoop. Kind of similarities to the Pavo30, which is their 3-inch Cinewhoop. And they're using the mostly the same electronics that were in the 95X V3, which is right here. Same motors, the 1404 4500 kV motors. And they did switch the flight controller to a slightly different one because of the gyro. So this one now has the BMI 270 gyro, and I think I've flown quite a few of these flight controllers with the BMI 270 gyro now, and it's okay. I mean, as long as the tune is appropriate for the proper filtering for that gyro, I haven't really noticed too much of a difference in terms of stability compared to the MPU 6000, so I think we're going to be okay going forward with the new BMI 270 gyro. So what you're seeing here in this video is actually a build, not the bind and fly, although it's fairly close to the bind and fly. For whatever reason, they decided not to send me the bind and fly this time. They sent me a bunch of parts to put together. Wasn't terribly difficult. I did put in my own Vista kit, which is different from what you're going to get for your DJI version. Mine comes with a different camera. This is a new run cam camera that I'm not sure if I can talk about it yet. So I'm not going to show you any footage from that, and I'm not going to tell you much about it. You'll have to wait for that video. Make sure you're subscribed if you don't want to miss that. This is a new run cam HD camera for the DJI system or the Vista. If you buy the bind and fly DJI, you'll get the Nebula Pro Nano camera, and it's a 14mm camera. So you've seen plenty of footage from that camera on my channel before. You can go back to previous videos if you're curious what that looks like. The weight probably isn't going to be too different. Click the links in the video description if you want to see the exact specs of the bind and fly. They sent basically the same parts, the frame, motors, and the flight controller, but I think there's going to be a change to the flight controller. I did notice that there were some pads for a vertical USB port, and you can see on this frame there's a hole here for a vertical USB port to connect to, which would be easier to connect here versus on the side. Now mine has the side USB port here. I did have to use a right angle adapter to connect to the USB port flight controller to change my settings, but I'm based on the materials that they sent me, they're going to be switching out the flight controller for one with a vertical USB port for this model. Again, this is not the bind and fly, so it could be a little bit different. I'm not 100% sure, because you have to maybe watch some other videos to see what the actual bind and fly looks like. Mine's a little bit different. Now, they did send me the CLI dump for the bind and fly for the DJI version, and so I put that on here, so you are seeing the PID tune from that in the flight demo, and it flies pretty good. The PID tune's pretty decent. Didn't have any weird vibrations or oscillations. Sounded okay. Nothing too weird going on. Performance-wise, I felt like I could do pretty much all the same stuff I could do with the 95X V3. Did feel a little bit more stable on this frame, and that's because the motors are slightly further apart. So there's a little bit more of a gap here between the motors, maybe like a centimeter more. If you look at the 95X V3 frame, you can see the gap is quite a bit less here. See here, like how close the props are on the 95X V3 frame with the left and right and up and down, versus on the Pavo25 frame, the motors are a little bit spread out. So I think that does help a little bit with the stability, but it does increase the profile slightly. I think about a centimeter. It's slightly longer and wider. So, and also these little foam pieces stick out a little bit more than on the 95X V3, little bumpers. So if that's for hitting walls and stuff like that. And that will affect your ability to hit certain gaps. Now, it's not that much larger, but it's something to take note of. Now, one of the things that they've done compared to the 95X V3 frame to make it a little bit easier to repair in case you do break these plastic prop guards, which they've claimed that they've changed the plastic, so it's a little bit stronger. But in the event that you do break it, it's fairly easy to swap them out. It's just 6 screws here, so there's one over here, one right there, and then one right there, and then 3 on the other side, and then the whole thing just lifts right out. All of the parts, the motors, the electronics, everything is connected to this top plate here, which is a 2.5mm top plate, and then the whole duct system, the props the prop guards just come out, and you can just swap it out. It literally will take like 5 minutes to make that change. And then, in terms of the build, it was very easy to put this together. If you do happen to buy the kit, the DIY kit, and you want to do your own build, basically the only thing I soldered was the motor plugs, because these motors do come with little plugs. So I did do that, and then I soldered the XT30, and of course I soldered the receiver, and that was also this is like an LED back here. That's 3 wires for an LED, and then the Vista is just a plug that plugs into the side of the board. There's like the CNC aluminum part with some threading, like 2mm M2 threading for the screws to mount the Vista to the flight controller, and then you can use that same part to mount the flight controller to the frame. And so that actually makes that's what makes this basically this whole thing pop out, where the Vista is right underneath the flight controller. You just pull it all out, and it's actually, the Vista is not connected to the plastic prop guard at all. So that's what makes the swapping of the prop guard pretty easy. Alright, so this is how much mine weighs. It's probably going to be pretty close to the bind and fly weight, and it's 161 grams. The SMO 4K mount is included, and then with the SMO 4K, actually let's put the battery on first. I flew with a 4650, and now we're coming at 237.8, and then with the SMO 4K now we're coming in at 270. So yeah, this version here with the 650 is going to get you over the 250 mark. Something to note about the camera mount here is that it is hard mounted to this top plate, this carbon plate here. No vibration dampening like there was on the 95X V3, although sometimes it didn't work all that great. So I used to put these zip ties here to kind of not make it move around too much. If you do that, then this works pretty good. But yeah, there's no dampening like there was on the 95X V3 on this new design, although on this camera it didn't seem like there was any jello or any issues with jello. But and unfortunately I can't show you the footage from this camera here. This is a run cam. You'll have to wait for that video. I'm not allowed to release that yet. There was a little bit of jello on this mount because it is directly mounted to the frame here instead of being like vibration dampened. So I did notice a little bit of jello in that footage, and yeah, you'll see it when you see the footage for the video the footage from that video, which will come out probably in a week or two. So unfortunately I can't show it to you yet, but you will see it eventually. So in terms of flight time on the 4650, you can expect, of course, depending upon flight conditions and how you fly, your flying style, roughly 4 minutes around there. Some maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. And that's about what I got on the 95X V3. Same KV motor, same prop, about the same weight. So yeah, it's okay. I think overall probably a little bit on the heavier side compared to some other lighter 2.5-inch Cinewhoops. Although I've been noticing that the 2.5-inch Cinewhoops are getting quite a bit heavier now. Not sure why that is. It could be that the KV, the motor, might be a little bit high. I think I did reduce the KV on this one via motor output limit. So if you're looking for more flight time, you could do that to gain maybe another 30 seconds or so if that's what you're looking for. Or just put a bigger battery on, because obviously I'm already over to the 250 gram mark. So if you want more flight time without worrying about the 250 gram limit, then just go to like an 850. It's a little, you have to put the battery in like this. It's a little tricky finding ones that'll fit that's not going to get into the interfere with the camera or where the XT30 comes out here in the back. That's like the limit in terms of how far back you can go. And I kind of wish that this was a little bit longer. I just used the one that came with the flight controller. But yeah, I think a little bit longer one would have been nicer to have. But I think, I'm not sure, again, what the bind and fly is going to look like. They might come with a little bit longer lead, so something to look for maybe in other videos if you want to check that out. Anyway, here's the flight footage from this guy. Very stable, of course. I did run the footage from the Smo 4K through Gyroflow instead of the normal Insta360 Studio. Let me know what you guys think of that footage. Very nice, smooth, stable footage. Very easy to fly. Typical Cinewhoop type footage here, flying at that same playground, going through all kinds of gaps, and yeah, flies great so far. Anyway, yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.